Greetings, everybody. How are y'all doing? Welcome to episode 3 of Paging Dr. Guillotine, a current events podcast that focuses on current events as they pertain to the working class. And today is a continuation of a story that's been going on since December 4th, which is the story of Luigi Mangione, who is allegedly the shooter of CEO Brian Thompson. From now on, by the way, I'm only using Brian Thompson's mugshot whenever we talk about him. Because that's the same courtesy that the working class gets from the ruling elites in the media. So, bow. So they found out they think they know who it is. It's this guy, Luigi Mangione. Folk hero in the making? Possibly. Very likely. It's looking that way. So what do we know about this guy? Affluent family, good school, good job. Seemingly, everything's going splendid, and his mom seems to have had some health issues. He seemed to have had some health issues, and they have been fucked over by mainstream insurance, the insurance industrial complex, whatever you want to call it, the healthcare monster. So this is very fascinating to me because it kind of echoes and reinforces the belief that there are issues that if a party wanted to win elections, they could bring up these issues, run on these issues, work towards solving these issues, which have solutions. We've talked about them at length in society. We know what the solutions are. And it crosses team lines. It crosses from team blue to team red and vice versa. All right. And so Luigi, not your typical leftist, kind of like a political libertarian, apparently. So that's interesting. So is he a class traitor? And so that touches on what is a class traitor. Is someone born either in the ruling class or the working class who works against their own self-interest if they're a member of the working class, or they work in service of the greater community if they are a member of the elite or the petite bourgeois. Like if they're any part of affluence, if there's any affluence and they choose to not sit in the comfort of that affluence, then they are essentially traitors to their privileged class, which is always the more fascinating character. Always, no one gives a shit about Benedict Arnold, No one gives a shit about scabs, class scabs. So some examples of people that were born well off and advocated or fought on the behalf of the larger community, the greater numeric number of society. You have Frederick Engel. His dad owned a factory. I don't know what they made, but his dad owned a factory. He was born into a wealthy family and advocated for the repossession of the means of production by the people that do the producing. Let's see, who else? Che Guevara, great example. Born to an affluent family, studied as a doctor at a time when it was it's still really expensive to study to be a doctor. But in that time period, it was a sign of wealth to be able to study, to afford to study medicine. And he became a doctor, radicalized on a graduation trip up the coast of Latin America, and saw extreme inequality, extreme poverty, and was motivated to armed conflict, armed resistance in many uh, different conflicts in a couple different continents. His comrade Fidel Castro, born to a wealthy family, his mom owned a plantation that was repossessed after the Cuban Revolution. So he really, he seems like he walked it like he talked it in that aspect. Um, from ruling class to working class. On the flip side, it's more so almost jobs. Like soldiers are renowned, especially soldiers of empires, are always class traders. Because it hasn't. It's in the 290 years this country's been around, right? Or less than that, like 220, 230. This country has been at war the whole time, essentially. I think there's maybe 4 years that there was no war. That's so that requires a lot of support, manpower, and so supporting empire is class traderism. All right. Police. We see it now with the Amazon strike. Who does the police come in and enforce the laws of the capitalist class, the ruling class, the owner class? Bang, right there. Cops doing the bidding of basically strike busting, which is deplorable. Deplorable. And I hear there are calls for people are calling for the police unions to be removed from the American Federation of Labor. And I could see, I wholeheartedly believe there's an argument there. And I actually think it would do society a lot of good if their unions were decertified, if they're union, then you wouldn't be able to protect crooked cops. So there's something to that. Also, there needs to be legislation that law. I mean, something much more concrete, much more. I don't know, something strengthening the provisions that exist that police can't attack citizens. It's not the Fourth Amendment. That's search and seizure. But to that effect, put limits on how, on the level of violence, or actually should exactly eliminate the violence on protesters. So who else? General repossessors. People that are repossessing property on behalf of banks or class traders. There's a bunch. I'll put a list up here. So in reaction to the shooting of United Health CEO Brian Thompson, shown here in his mugshot, there has been a wide variety of reactions, which we're going to go through, and we're going to discuss how ridiculous we should have a meter on how ridiculous these reactions are. But the first one that I can remember really after a few days later was police arresting a woman in Florida named Breonna Boston, a woman in Florida whose name is Breonna Boston. Do with that what you will. She was on the phone with her health insurance company. They were giving her a hard time, as they do. And she says, she repeats the 3 words, or last episode's title, 3 words that were on the bullets that Luigi Mangione allegedly shot. Deny, defend, depose. She said, deny, defend, depose. You guys are next. Now, something about threats that we need to discuss, that we need to point out, is that for a threat to be a threat, it has to have two criterias. Um, it has to be credible and uh, specific. Credible and specific. And there is nothing really credible or specific about what Brianna Boston said in regards to it being a threat. And she was arrested. She was held. She's now back home, but she's under house arrest, I believe. Those charges have not been dropped. We're going to put the information for the Polk County, which I think that's where she's in Polk County, Florida, I believe. We'll put the information for the sheriff's office, whoever the prosecutor is. And if you feel, if you are compelled to give them a call, to flood them with phone calls. All right. So second, this is the second one in the reactions from the ruling class, essentially from the ruling class to this shooting. New York State Governor Kathy Hochul is playing with the idea of having a hotline for CEOs in case they feel unsafe. A hotline for CEOs who feel unsafe. Let's talk about how ridiculous that shit is. Is there a hotline for the children that are traumatized because they were in a school shooting? Is there a hotline? Now, I understand to all the 2A people out there, to all the Second Amendment people, I understand that school shootings are not the majority of gun crimes or gun deaths in this country. That title, I believe, has been for some time held by suicide. A good majority of gun violence is suicide, which leads us to a conversation about mental health. We'll have that later. We'll discuss that later. I just want to make it clear that is what I am. I am bringing up school shootings in the context of that there's no hotline for children. Where are the resources for children that are parts? I'm sure they do something, but what about something for the kids that go through it? If you were a kid, I'm guessing that it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't, but it would blow my mind if they did. But two things can be true at the same time. Anyway, just the hypocrisy of having, does a CEO feel unsafe? Well, what about every other profession? One of the most dangerous professions is delivering pizzas. Do pizza delivery drivers have a hotline for when they get mugged, for when they get threatened, taunted, ripped off because someone, shorts them on the bill and then closes the door, that is, statistically known that it's dangerous. So, just another thing to really mock the softness of the ruling class, of the CEO class, of the capitalist class. Really, they can't handle a little bit of violence. In a violent society, violence of their own doing. The third ridiculous reaction that's going to backfire is the perp walk photo op. Oh my goodness, how absolutely ridiculous is this show of force? Hold on, I got to look it up. Let me just give me a second, folks. Let me look it up because I want to see something. I need to see something. I need to see how many officers were in this Luigi perp walk. All right. Images. I can't even get okay. This picture from The Economist seems to have a very decent front side picture. 1, 2, 3. Mayor Corrupty. Crooked like a mayor question mark. That's what we're going to call Eric Adams. Mayor question 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15. That's all that you could see from this angle. There's even more in this picture. Jesus H. Christ. What a ridiculous show of force. What a silly show of force. I am going to let's think of some perp walks throughout history that are famous, and I'll find pictures and I'll post them. All right. Let's see. Let's think. Famous ones. I got you. Famous perp walk. Lee Harvey Oswald, the JFK shooter, allegedly. All right, is that Dylan Roof killed 9 people in a church in South Carolina, North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. You could tell because of that haircut. You know, it's fucked up. I had a bowl haircut for too much of my childhood. And my friends, my childhood friends, no problem reminding me. All right, famous perp walks. Jack Ruby, Dylan Roof, Timothy McVeigh. We'll look up that one. Timothy McVeigh had a perp walk. And you know what? 3 for what's the expression? 3 to a match. 3 for the sake of comedy. 3 for the sake of comedy. We'll do those 3. Ruby, Roof, and Ruby, Roof. And by the way, I picked those because those are 3 acts of terrorism. So let's see how these match up throughout, you know, with what's going, you know, with what Luigi Mangione getting hit with by DA Alvin Bragg. And that leads me to the fourth ridiculous reaction to the Luigi situation is District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who I got to look this up, but he fumbled some case against Trump, some corruption shit. He fumbled, and he's the reason that they're adding terrorism charges is so they can bring up the death penalty to make an example out of him, which is hilarious in that it's going to have the exact opposite reaction of what they expect. Now you're going to make a martyr. This is actually why I was glad. I think, first of all, I think that the Trump shooting, where he gets, you know, grazed by, I think that was fake. I don't believe that shit for an iota of a minute. And I know that those are 2 different units of measurements. I don't care. But if Trump had, I'm glad that guy missed. Again, let me get back on track. I'm glad that guy missed because if Trump had been killed, he would have become a symbol. He would have been bigger than, he would have represented what that is. Who knows? A symbol of, you know, white privilege that a guy can fail up so much because he's squandered money on failed business ventures just because he could. So yeah, I guess that would if that needs a symbol, it would be his silhouette. And so yeah, so anyway, Alvin Bragg, he's gonna fuck this up somehow. I'm not, and just so anyone knows, and everyone knows, his term is up in 2026. He's up for re-election, so let's keep that in mind because we might have to keep it in mind. And the what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth overreaction or surprise to, you know, a reaction you've been seeing it in the media. People like surprised that nobody gives a fuck about a CEO being murdered. Nobody cares. Why? Because these people are social parasites. They make 320 times more than the average worker. If you took the top earning workers and the lowest earning workers and you found the middle, the perfect middle, CEOs make 320 times more than that. That's unsustainable, and people are not going to care. Sorry. I'm not invested. Emotionally, financially, I'm not invested in the happenings and joys, of this group of people. So so the shock from the media is like, really, you couldn't see this coming? Okay. So yeah, I think if the state kills this guy, they're going to create an icon. Saint Luigi, patron saint of the underinsured, the overcharged and underserved. How wild is that? And it was avoidable. The whole situation's avoidable. At this point, universal healthcare is a matter of CEO safety. So yeah, that's all I wanted to touch on today. I don't think there was. I'm trying to think of what. No, that's it. I'm gonna put the socials down here. Too far, too close, right there. Boom. The socials are gonna go here somewhere, and we will. I always say we. Yeah, me. I will keep you posted where I'm working on putting up a Patreon to see if we generate any interest. And if you do sign up for the Patreon when I set it up, if you are like, I'm interested, you will get whatever the edit that I make early. You'll get it a few days early. That's what we'll do. Early access to the episode. So yeah. All right. So with that, I am Marco signing off. I'm gonna play you a little music, and I hope you enjoy. All right. Peace.